Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. So for today's video, I thought I would do a kind of different video. I've seen some other YouTubers did it and I thought it would be cool if I did a blind edition. I don't know if anybody else has done this, but I'm going to because I haven't and this is me. So here we go. So I am looking at Google and I have typed in how to blind people. And the first question is how do blind people know when to stop wiping? First of all, why would you Google that? Ew. And second of all, I don't want to know what's in your brain. And third of all, we just know because we can feel and stuff, so we just know. How do you know? Not trying to be sarcastic, just asking. How do blind people read? Well, what level of blindness you have. So if you are only partially blind, you can read large print. Or if you have less sight, you can read Braille. And by less sight, I mean like not sight enough to be able to read print, which can include light perception and complete blindness. Or you can actually read audiobooks. So those are ways that blind people can read. Okay, next question. How do blind people dream? The same way that you dream, except that depending on whether or not you have sight, you will be able to see things in your dream, and it will actually depend on how much sight you have. So like in your dream, if you are fully sighted, you will be able to see fully formed things, objects, people, all that kind of stuff, just like you would if you were sighted, because the sight receptors in your brain don't actually die just because your eyes stop working. If you are blind like me and you only have partial vision, you will be able to see shapes and shadows and maybe some colors in your dream. And if you are completely blind, you will be able to hear sounds and things like that, just like you would in your everyday life. And again, that would depend on whether or not you could see and had full vision or less vision and it just reduced over time, or if you had no vision at all ever. How do blind people see? Oh my gosh, I get this question so much. So blind people can see by using our other senses like smell, touch, taste. You may notice that a lot of blind people, when they are holding an object, and this is really embarrassing, but I do it too, but when blind people are holding an object, a lot of times we will put it up to our lips, and it's because we use our lips to feel things, which is really weird. But we can also use our hands and our fingers and sometimes our feet, which is how we know that curbs are coming up or there's a crack in the sidewalk or whatever. Okay. How do blinds work? How do you work? No, but seriously, it would depend on the kind of job that we do. So a lot of blind people do call center work. I call it the McDonald's of the sighted world because that is usually blind people's first job after they lose their sight, or if they are like me and they were blind their entire life, that is usually their first job. So we will answer phone calls, and there's adaptive software programs for that. There are speech-to-text programs for that. And I say speech-to-text because they don't read pictures. And there is braille displays that we can use. We can actually hook them up to computers. And again, it would just depend on what kind of job you're talking about. A lot of blind people are really good at woodwork, so they are carpenters, they carve things. A lot of blind people are mechanics. There are even blind people who are doctors, although I think most of those are researchers from what I've read. There's blind teachers. Hello, yours truly is going to college to be a teacher. And again, it would just depend on what kind of jobs, because they would require you to possess different skills, like listening skills, and they would also require you to have different types of adaptive equipment. Some require computers, some do not. So it would just depend on the job. Okay, next question. How do blind people use phones? Well, it depends on what kind of phone you have. So if you have an Android, a blind person may use TalkBack, or they may use a program for Android. I'm not really sure what this would be called, that would magnify the print on the screen and make it bigger if they can read print. And on iPhone, they have a magnification thing in the settings portion of iOS devices, which includes iPhones, and they also have a screen access solution for people who cannot read large print called VoiceOver. And that is how blind people use phones. And if you are talking about a landline, blind people basically learn that there is a dot on the 5, and we find all the other keys on the keypad that way. When we had a landline phone, I used to figure out where the talk and end buttons are, and then I would figure out where the 5 was, and I could figure out the rest from that point forward. How do blind and deaf people communicate? Well, there are a variety of ways that a blind person can communicate with a deaf person, and I can only assume that if this question is up here, you wanted to know this a lot. So, blind people can actually learn sign language, and a deaf person can actually sign into their hand, and they can communicate back and forth that way. Or the deaf person can type something on a computer and run it through a text-to-speech program such as JAWS, NVDA, or Narrator, and the blind person will be able to hear what is being said, and maybe the deaf person can read print, so they would be able to type back and forth that way. Or if they are a blind and deaf person, maybe they'll have a braille display and they can type back and forth that way. So, yeah, hope that helps. How do blind people drive? This was really funny to me because blind people actually can't drive. Blind people joke that we can drive because we joke about we're gonna drive self-driving cars, and really it would be the self-driving car that's driving us, but blind people can't actually drive. Sorry. Unless, of course, we are in a very controlled environment and there's nothing in the way, and someone is like, take the wheel, press the gas, because that happened to me once. My uncle got out of the car and said, you drive, and I was like, okay. So I drove up the driveway. But otherwise, blind people can't drive. The next question is, how do blind people watch movies? And you would not believe how many times I've heard this when I have been out, because I'll be talking about a movie and somebody will be like, how do you do this? So basically, there are 2 ways you can watch a movie. You can either listen to the dialogue being spoken and other sounds that will clue you in, such as footsteps or clapping or cheering or whatever, and you can figure out the movie. Because of that, I actually grew up watching movies this way, because I didn't know about audio description. So some movies I actually prefer to watch this way. And then there's audio description, which is where things in the movie that you see visually, like facial expressions and things of that sort that blind people will miss, is said verbally for us. So like, this person shook their head, or this person frowned. Audio description used to be really, really bad, because it used to be, say, so-and-so was walking away. Like, we couldn't hear that because of the sound, you know? Okay, next question. Wow, I didn't realize there were so many questions. Okay. How do blind people use the internet? Well, I'm currently on the internet right now, so basically we access a text-to-speech program, either JAWS, NVDA, VoiceOver for Mac, narrator, or some other type of program, and then we open up a web browser and we type in the address and we go from there. And then we use the arrow keys to navigate, and then we use the tab key. And then sometimes we use a combination of the arrow keys and the control key to do different things. And sometimes we use the backspace key to go back to the previous page, or a combination of the control key, which is the key right down here on the end of the keyboard on the left hand. It's in the bottom left hand corner, and the arrow key and another key to go back a page, or basically we just use the keyboard. There's all kinds of key functions that we can do. Why do blind people wear sunglasses? This is actually a really good question. So, blind people wear sunglasses because they might have light sensitivity, which is where, like, lights are really, really bright and they hurt your eyes even if they're not really, really bright. So that is the main reason why blind people will wear sunglasses inside of a building. Sometimes when I get really bad headaches, I have light sensitivity, or if the sun is really bright, because I have some vision, I also will get light sensitivity. But it's important to note that you can be completely blind and still have light sensitivity, so you don't have to have vision to have light sensitivity. Why do blind people have white eyes? Well, there are certain conditions that make it... I don't know how to word this. There are certain conditions that mean that your iris doesn't change color. You know, so like irises are usually blue, but in certain conditions they're white. And also, you can have cataracts. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but there are certain conditions where you can have white eyes. Not every blind person has white eyes, though. Okay. Why do blind runners wear blindfolds? Well, it's because we have some vision and we don't want that to interfere with our running, because we can see things such as fireman poles and water hydrants and things like that, and we can think that it is something else, like somewhere where we need to turn, because we can't see it clearly, and then we will run into it face first. Fun fact, I actually did run into a water hydrant once, and it kind of hurt. Why do blind people close their eyes? Well, why do you close your eyes? A lot of times, if we're outside, it's because the sun is too bright, or if we're inside, it's because we are sleeping, or we want kind of to calm down, or It's basically all the same reasons that you would close your eyes. Why do blind eyes turn white? Well, it would depend again on the condition that you have. So if you have cataracts, a lot of times your eyes will turn white, especially if they aren't removed. And I don't really know. I don't know like all the conditions, but I know that there are conditions that will make your eyes turn white. Why do blind pimples hurt? I don't know. Do you mean like styes? I guess because they're in your eye. Why do blind dogs walk in circles? Because they don't know where they're going. I actually had a blind and deaf dog, and it was really hard for her to figure out where she was going sometimes. So she would sometimes walk in circles, which is how I kind of figured out that she was losing her sight, and she would run into things. But anyway, she's on the very beginning of my vlog videos. Her name is Baby. You can go watch those. Up until a year ago, actually, she was on my videos. Why do blind people's eyes shake? I didn't know blind people's eyes shook, but it might be because of astigmatism or something else, because astigmatism will make your eyes constantly move. Is that why you asked the question? I'm confused. Why do blind spots occur? I have no idea. Why do blind Paralympians wear blindfolds? And it is, like I said before, because some blind people have some vision, because we're not completely blind, and we will tend to see things that we think that we can cross them, or that they are where we need to go, and they're not. And so we end up running into them, hurting ourselves, that kind of thing, because our vision isn't that great. At me. Okay. And that is it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed this video enough to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're brand new. Please ring that notification bell. Make sure it's set to all notifications. Leave a comment down below if you have an idea, question, suggestion. Like my Facebook page, and definitely follow me on Twitter. Both of those are stuff on YouTube 1. Follow me on Libri. It is the same as my YouTube channel, 1990s Stephanie 2010. And all of those links can be found on my YouTube page below the About section, and down in the description below. My email address is Stephieonyoutube@gmail.com, and you can find that in the About section of my YouTube page, and down in the description below as well. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.